Let me begin by speaking directly to everyone watching this video today. Whether you are a U.S. citizen sponsoring a family member, a green card holder navigating the system, or someone currently waiting on an H-1B or H-4 visa decision, I know that right now your social media feeds are probably flooded with alarming headlines about mandatory social media vetting, new requirements, and urgent deadlines. You may have seen posts warning you to delete old tweets, scrub your Instagram history, or panic about what immigration officers might find when they review your online presence. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now, because my goal today is not to scare you or add to the noise. My goal is to explain this calmly, truthfully, and in a way that helps you understand what is actually happening, who this truly affects, and what you realistically need to do, if anything at all. Before we go any further, I do need to mention something important. Everything I share with you today is for informational and educational purposes only. I am not your attorney, and this is not official legal advice tailored to your specific situation. Immigration law is complex, and every case has its own unique details. If you have concerns about your specific circumstances, I always encourage you to consult with a licensed immigration attorney who can review your file and give you personalized guidance. But for now, let's walk through this together, step by step, so you can separate the facts from the fear. So what exactly is going on with this social media vetting requirement that everyone is talking about? Let me start by giving you the context that often gets lost in the viral posts. Social media vetting for certain visa applicants is not actually a brand new concept that just appeared out of nowhere. In fact, the U.S. government has been collecting social media information from certain visa applicants for several years now, dating back to policy changes that were gradually implemented, starting around 2019 and 2020. What has changed recently, and what is causing the current wave of concern, is that the government has indicated it may expand or more strictly enforce the collection of social media handles and the review of public online profiles for certain non-immigrant visa categories, including H-1B and H-4 visa holders and applicants. This has led to a lot of confusion, partly because the details of how this will be implemented, what exactly will be reviewed, and how strictly it will be enforced are still evolving. Now let me be very clear about something that often gets exaggerated online. For the majority of you watching this video, especially if you have already been living in the United States on an H-1B or H-4 visa for some time, or if you are simply renewing or extending a visa that you have held without issue, this is very unlikely to dramatically change your day-to-day life or result in sudden denials. Let me explain why. The U.S. immigration system, for all its flaws and frustrations, operates on legal standards and due process. Officers reviewing visa applications are looking for specific red flags that would indicate a person is inadmissible to the United States under the Immigration and Nationality Act. These red flags include things like credible evidence of terrorist activity, public safety threats, fraud or misrepresentation in a visa application, or clear signs that someone intends to violate the terms of their visa. They are not sitting in an office looking through your vacation photos or judging you for sharing a meme 5 years ago. This is an important distinction, and it is one that gets lost in the panic. Social media vetting is meant to be an additional tool to identify security concerns or inconsistencies, not a reason to deny visas to people who have posted opinions, personal photos, or everyday content that millions of people share online. In most cases, if you have been honest in your application, if you have followed the rules of your visa category, and if your social media presence reflects a normal, law-abiding life, you are not the target of this policy. The real concern is for individuals whose online activity directly contradicts what they stated in their visa paperwork, or whose posts suggest they plan to work illegally, overstay their visa, or engage in activities that would make them inadmissible. Those are the cases that immigration officers are trained to flag. Let me also address the timeline that has been circulating, particularly the mention of a March 1st deadline. It is very easy for deadlines to take on a life of their own on social media, and I want to be careful here. As of the time I am recording this, there is no universal official cutoff date that applies to every single H-1B or H-4 applicant in the same way. What is true is that certain applicants may be asked to provide their social media handles as part of updated forms or additional documentation requests. and that the government has indicated it intends to be more thorough in its reviews going forward. But this does not mean that if you do not clean up your social media by a specific date, your visa will automatically be denied. Immigration decisions are made on a case-by-case basis, and they are based on the totality of your application and background, not on a single post or a missed arbitrary deadline. That said, I do want to give you some practical, level-headed guidance. If you are currently in the process of applying for an H-1B or H-4 visa, or if you are preparing to file an extension or a change of status, it is reasonable and responsible to take a moment to review your public social media presence. Notice I said public. Immigration officers are not hacking into your private accounts or reading your direct messages. They are reviewing what you have chosen to share publicly with the world. So ask yourself this question in a calm, thoughtful way. If an immigration officer were to look at your public posts, would they see anything that directly contradicts the information in your visa application? Would they see anything that suggests you intend to violate U.S. immigration law? Would they see anything that raises legitimate security or admissibility concerns? For the vast majority of people, the answer is going to be no. You have been living your life, sharing photos of your family, your hobbies, your travels, your thoughts on everyday topics, and none of that is a problem. But if, for example, you stated in your application that you intend to work only for your sponsoring employer, and yet your public posts show you actively advertising freelance services or running a side business that would violate your visa terms, that would be a red flag. Or if you have posted content that promotes violence, criminal activity, or extremist ideologies, that would obviously raise serious concerns. These are the kinds of things that matter, not the fact that you once complained about airport security or shared a political opinion. If you do find something in your past posts that you think could be misunderstood or taken out of context, it is entirely reasonable to delete or make private those specific posts. You are not destroying evidence or committing fraud by managing your own social media presence. You have every right to control what you share publicly. However, and this is important, do not delete your entire social media history or try to hide the fact that you have accounts. If you are asked to provide your social media handles on an official form, you need to provide them honestly. Lying on a visa application or omitting information that was specifically requested is misrepresentation, and that is a serious immigration violation that can result in denial and long-term consequences. So the advice here is simple. Be honest, be thoughtful, and be reasonable in how you present yourself online. But do not panic, and do not lie. Now let me talk about something that does not get discussed enough in these viral videos, and that is the reality of how the U.S. immigration system actually functions day to day. The system is slow, it is bureaucratic, it is frustrating. There are massive backlogs, and there are long periods of silence where you hear nothing from USCIS or the consulate processing your case. This is normal. I know it does not feel normal when you are living through it, when you are waiting for a decision that will determine whether you can keep your job, stay with your family, or continue building your life in the United States. But I want you to understand that delays are not the same thing as denials. Just because your case is taking longer than you expected, or just because you have not heard back yet, does not mean that something is wrong or that you are being singled out because of your social media. In most cases, the reason your case is delayed is simply because there are thousands of other cases ahead of yours, and the system is understaffed and overwhelmed. Officers are reviewing applications as quickly as they can, but they are required to follow procedures, conduct background checks, and verify information, and all of that takes time. This is especially true right now, when immigration policies and enforcement priorities have been shifting, and when officers are being asked to implement new procedures while still processing the existing backlog. So if you are waiting, I know it is hard, but try to stay patient. Keep your documentation organized. Respond promptly if you receive any requests for additional evidence, and trust that the process, even though it is slow, is still moving forward. I also want to acknowledge something that I think gets overlooked in all of this legal and procedural talk, and that is the emotional weight of being an immigrant in the United States right now. I know that every headline, every policy change, every new requirement feels like one more thing you have to worry about on top of everything else. I know that you have already sacrificed so much to be here, that you have left behind family and familiarity and comfort, and that you are trying to build a life in a system that often feels like it is working against you rather than with you. I see you, I hear you, and I want you to know that you are not alone in this. Millions of people are going through the exact same process, feeling the exact same anxiety, and asking the exact same questions. Your feelings are valid, and your concerns are real. But here is what I also want you to hold on to. The truth is almost always less dramatic than the headlines. The reality is that most people who follow the rules, who are honest in their applications, and who have legitimate reasons for being in the United States will continue to have their visas approved and renewed. Yes, the process is harder than it should be. Yes, there is more scrutiny than there was in the past. Yes, you may be asked to provide more information or wait longer than you expected. But none of that means that the door is closing or that your case is doomed. It just means that you need to be prepared, informed, and patient. So let me summarize what we have talked about today in a way that I hope brings you some clarity and peace of mind. Social media vetting for H-1B and H-4 applicants is not a completely new concept, but it is being taken more seriously and applied more broadly than it has been in the past. If you are currently in the application process, it is reasonable to review your public social media profiles and make sure there is nothing that directly contradicts your visa application or raises legitimate admissibility concerns. But for the vast majority of you, your everyday posts and normal online presence are not going to be a problem. Be honest. If you are asked to provide your social media handles, do not delete everything in a panic, and do not lie on your forms. Understand that delays are normal and are not the same as denials. Stay organized, stay patient, and trust that the system, even though it is slow, is still processing your case. If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to share it with others who might be feeling the same anxiety and confusion that you were feeling before you watched. And if you have questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments below. We are all navigating this together, and the more we can support each other with accurate information and calm guidance, the better off we will all be. Thank you for watching, and please take care of yourself.